Hello everyone, Sandra here. So this is going to be a lore video. However, I believe this is going to spoil a good section of 2.1's Archon Quest. So you have been warned. If you do not want that spoiled, please do not watch this video. Now, for those of you that are staying, this video will be about discussing about how the Fatui will get involved in the Inazuma questline. Now, of course, we know that everywhere there is an Archon, there's going to be a Fatui trying to get involved with that thing because they want the Gnosis. So this video will discuss exactly how the Fatui will step in and get involved with this whole thing. And as of currently, because for the entire 2.0 patch, there's no more Archon Quest, we have not seen any signs of Fatui in the Archon Quest. They have been strangely quiet. However, the fun fact is that actually, behind the scenes, they are already involved with Inazuma quite a bit. And there are hints left all over the place within Inazuma between NPCs and different posters and hints like that. I have gathered quite a few hints, I think 4 major hints, that I think brings enough information to know that the Fatui are already involved in Inazuma's internal politics. They have already controlled one of the 3 commissions, the one in charge, the Kangju commission in charge of the postal guard and tax. They have already controlled that, and on top of that, their next plan is to overthrow Raiden Shogun and take her Gnosis. So with that said, let's first start with the actual little bit of history, like IRL history, the parallel between Japan during its medieval period and Inazuma. So Inazuma is mirrored after Japan during its medieval period, of course. The Vision Hunt Decree actually mirrors the Katana Gari, which is the sword hunt which happened in Japan for quite a while. So basically, anyone other than samurai or government officials are not allowed to carry a sword. There is a more detailed explanation for that, please visit Wikipedia. And as a result, all collected swords were sent to build a giant Buddha statue, which is equivalent to the Inazuma version. All visions are sent to build a giant statue, basically that statue. So this is the historical parallel between these two. And there is also another parallel between Inazuma's closed nation borders as well as Japan's closed nation borders during that period. I believe it is called Sakoku. I might be pronouncing that wrong, but it's a policy that Japan had again for quite a while. Basically, it lasted for about 214 years, and all trades other than the necessity trades or any trades that is approved by the government is basically forbidden and shut down. And Japan primarily interacts with the outside world through the Nagasaki port, which is only limited countries with permissions like China or the lesser lands can trade with Japan there. Other than that, they basically does not trade with anyone. However, this period was forcefully ended by the US black ships commanded by Matthew C. Perry. Basically, after he defeated the Japanese Navy, he demanded that they open up the country. The result of them opening up a country was that they are soon quickly exposed to the more civilized, more advanced Western culture, and as a result, Japan's power as a nation grew very fast, and as a result of that, the shogun was very soon overthrown because he no longer has the control over Japan as they had before. So I believe this historical fact will be reimagined in Genshin Impact in the case of Inazuma. And I believe the force, the so-called US black ships in this case, that is going to break open Inazuma's closed nation policy will be the Fatui. And for the rest of the video, I'll be explaining the 4 hints that are in-game already. Actually, you can check them out. They are the 4 hints needed to explain why the Fatui is already involved, and I believe the exact harbinger that is involved is La Signora. So let's start with the first hint. And the first hint is actually given pretty obvious. The first hint becomes within 5 minutes of us landing in Rito. Basically, after we meet with Toma, he asks us to help with Kurisu, who is the president of the International Trade Association. And from him, we gain 2 pieces of important information. First of all, the Kangju Commission has changed their form of tax from Mora to crystal metal. Now, before I reveal the second piece of information, I just want to talk a little bit about crystal metal. What is exactly crystal marrow. In game, it's an essential material, of course, but lore-wise, crystal marrow is produced by the leftover bones of that giant serpent that was slain by Bao. In Zhongli's words, it's basically a form of leftover malice by the defeated archons or gods, because that serpent is at an archon level in terms of strength. In Liyue, this job is done by Xiao, basically clearing up all the leftover malice. In Inazuma, Yashiori's island's weather is constantly raining and lightning everywhere as a result of this malice. In Inazuma, at least in Yashiori Island, it is cleared by having a bunch of pillars placed down to try to suppress it. But recently, either the Fatui or the rebellions have opened up the pillar, which exposed Yashiori back to its old climate of pure thunderstorms all year around. Given that the Fatui has previously been experimenting with injecting malice into human body, which they did in the manga, so it is very likely that the crystal marrows are needed by the Fatui for research, either as a new form of malice, or directly resurrecting the serpent even. Basically like what they did with Osayo in Liyue, but Osayo was not dead, so it was easier for them to do that, whereas in this case they might have to reverse engineer the whole thing to get the serpent back going again. So that is the first piece of information we got from that president of the International Trade Association. The second piece of information we get is that he or any other members of the trade association has never heard of this material before, except for the actual president knows about this because he heard it from an old merchant from Liyue who once shipped them all the way to Snezhnaya. So that was the second tip, which is enough to prove that the Fatui has been trying to get their hands on this for quite a while. And the fact that the Kanjo Commission is specifically accepting this as a new form of tax could very well mean that the Kanjo Commission is secretly working with the Fatui to basically try to overthrow Bao, as well as basically the Snezhnaya already has control over one of the three commissions in Inazuma. The other three hints will also try to prove this as well. The second hint is that near the dock of Rito Island, there is a notice on one of the poster boards saying that an extra shipment will come from Snezhnaya, and everyone on duty should get ready for this. Now, what exactly is that extra shipment? It is probably going to be involving the equipment or any other stuff necessarily needed for them to deal with the final start of overthrowing with Bao. And of course, this is a minor hint, so I'll gloss it over. There isn't much to talk about. The third one is told you by a little girl on Rito Island again. Her name is Tiger Lee, so she is from Liyue, and she will tell you that she has seen some masked man heading towards Yashiori Island already. So of course the masked man can be anyone, however the only group of people we have seen all of the masks except for some of the harbingers is of course the Fatui. And this very could mean, together with the first point, is that the Fatui is already in contact with the Kanjo Commission. They basically bought their way through the entire Kanjo Commission, and the commissioner is currently working with them, which means the commissioner granted them access to Yashiori Island without letting the Archon know. And that could very well be why they are heading towards there to collect more crystal marrows. And finally, the last hint comes from the commissioner's daughter. I won't be saying her name here, again I'm not good at pronouncing Japanese, so from this forward I'll be referring to the daughter as the commissioner's daughter and the actual commissioner of the Kanjo Commission as the commissioner. So during our conversation with the commissioner's daughter, we noticed she did reveal to us two pieces of important information. Recently, her father had a chat with a lady who she does not recognize, so there's a high chance she is not from Inazuma. The lady is very arrogant. Their purpose of this meeting was to discuss how to trap the traveler on Rito Island until basically what needs to be done is done. And finally, the fourth piece of information is that the commissioner shows high respect towards the lady. So this four pieces of information together, I believe, straightly points at one person, who is La Signora. Let's go over it one by one. The first piece of information meaning that the commissioner had a meeting with a lady, and of course the commissioner's daughter did not recognize the lady. So there are 3 guesses here. Of course, the first one is Bao, because the person has high respect for her, but in that case the commissioner's daughter would have recognized Bao, so that one is ruled out. The second arrogant lady we know from Inazuma is of course Kujo-Sera. Now, within Kujo-Sera's case, then the commissioner would not have high respect for her, because we have seen the commissioner, he is a very self-absorbed person, to say the least. And on top of that, Kujo-Sera actually works under the other commission, which means Kujo-Sera is 1 level below him in terms of status. So there is no point for him to show respect to Kujo-Sera. So that one is also ruled out. However, if we put a Signora here, all piece of information makes perfect sense. The first one is that if La Signora comes to talk, the commissioner's daughter would not recognize La Signora. The second piece of information, the purpose of the meeting was to keep Traveler trapped on the island, which makes sense, since if La Signora wants the gnosis, the Traveler will 100% intervene, which means the only way to do this without too much hustle is to keep the Traveler on the island until La Signora has the gnosis, at which point she can leave and the Traveler can do whatever he or she wants. The third piece of information is that the person has high respect for the lady. Now, of course, this can't be saying exactly, but given the fact that previously when people talk to Fatui, they do technically have high respect because they're threatened by their lives in most of their cases. So in this case, it will make sense that after the Signora give this commissioner some, let him see some things that he would not like to become in the end, basically threatening him, it'll be very easy for him to become respecting her, in the sense that he would try to not offend her in any ways, because otherwise he might get killed on the spot. So that is all the proof I have on why I think La Signora will be very likely intervening with the 2.1 Archon quest. And on top of that, overall, I guess I didn't spoil too much of the Archon quest, but what I think will happen is something will have to do with the crystal mallet they're collecting, either resurrecting the serpent or cause some sort of major hustle. And at the same time, like what happened with Child, basically the exact rewrite of the Lua setup, La Signora would be fighting us, while after she is defeated, she unleashes the seal of something using the crystal marrows, and there is another big fight we have to deal with. And afterwards, Bao's Electro Archon status will be taken because she no longer has her gnosis, and after that, the entire Inazuma internal politics would collapse, which I guess at this point, either the rebellion or probably Ayaka's commission would take overall control. So that is all I have for you today. Thank you very much for watching. If you like more lore videos, please let me know in the comments. I know generally these don't get as much views as some of the build videos, but people generally enjoy these videos more, so do let me know in the comments if you want to hear more about this. That's all I have for you today. Thank you very much for watching. If you like the content, please consider subscribing. Thank you and have a nice day.